It's a little bit too close. It's a little bit too close. Oh boy. Okay. Sorry guys. I was just setting up the camera. Hi guys. I'm back with another podcast episode here. This is episode 3 of the Black and Gold podcast, a Pittsburgh Steelers podcast. I've been doing these podcast episodes for the past couple weeks for the Pittsburgh Steelers. We are now on the final preseason game of the season, and in 2 weeks, we are going to be going into the regular season podcast episodes. So I will start the podcast in about 2 minutes. I'm just waiting for some people to join to watch the podcast, but hello, everybody. This is the Black and Gold Podcast, a Pittsburgh Steelers podcast hosted by me, JOWTTD, aka Joey Tobias. I'm not even supposed to be doing this podcast right now, but you know what? Fuck it. I started this podcast 2 weeks ago. This is my third episode. I'm not canceling the podcast. So I'm doing this episode. If I get in trouble for it, that's on me. But I'm not canceling the podcast just because other people want me to cancel it. So um, I'm about to start the podcast. I'm about to start the podcast in 2 minutes. So if some people would like to join to watch the Pittsburgh Steelers podcast, the Black and Gold podcast, a Pittsburgh Steelers podcast, episode 3, that would be appreciated, please, and thank you. So I'm about to start this podcast episode here in a minute. As I stated before, I'm the host of this podcast, JOWTTD, aka Joey Tobias. And if you are a part of Steelers Nation, if you're a part of the Black and Gold, the 6-time Super Bowl champs, if you're a fan of if you're a part of Steelers Nation, and if you like the Pittsburgh Steelers, then you're going to like this podcast. Um well, good for you. You're being removed. Good for you. You're being removed. Bake is a Raiders fan. Good for him. I don't hate on. Here's one thing I'm gonna say here, right? This is not a hateful podcast. I don't hate on other people for liking other teams. Uh, Obviously, Baked Juts likes I always want to say the Oakland Raiders. They're not Oakland, but the Las Vegas Raiders. And I'm a Pittsburgh Steelers fan. No hate to them. Let's see. But yeah, like I said, if you like another team, you're welcome into this podcast. But I would just like to let you know that this podcast is mainly for people that like the Pittsburgh Steelers. So I'm not going to really be talking about the Las Vegas Raiders, just to let you know. I'm going to be talking about the Steelers. Peter, hello, Joey. Hello, Peter. How you doing? I am doing the podcast, even though I shouldn't, but here I am. Uh, mm, uh, Captain Nizzle 2024. What the fuck is wrong with your teeth? What's wrong with my teeth? What's wrong with my teeth is these are not real teeth. These are dentures. I lost my real teeth due to genetics at 21 years old. So yeah. Uh, Baked, more of an LA Kings fan. LA Kings. Okay, so you're more of a hockey fan. I get it. I'm a fan of the Pittsburgh Penguins. I am probably not going to be doing a Pittsburgh Penguins podcast because I'm more of a fan of football than hockey, but I do like my Pittsburgh Penguins. Um, the truth within. Do you have any silver to sell? No, I do not. Sorry. Joe, here we go, Steelers. Here we go, Steelers, Joe. Okay. So let's get into the podcast episode. Let's get into the podcast. So let's get into the podcast now. So this is let's get into the podcast now. So bake, just huck it, chuck it, it's football. Yes, it is. So let's get into the podcast. So this is the third preseason game of the season, the final preseason game of the season until we go into the regular season episodes of the podcast. So this is the preseason, final game of the preseason. The Pittsburgh Steelers went to sorry. Let me restart. The Pittsburgh Steelers went to Highmark Stadium to play the Buffalo Bills tonight, and it was a very competitive game, but the Pittsburgh Steelers lost. They lost 28-27. The Buffalo Bills took the two-point conversion to win the game, but it was a very competitive game, and the Pittsburgh Steelers did better than they did last week. So let's get into the stats. So Will Howard was 9 for 15 for 69 yards, 2 touchdowns, an interception, and 3 sacks. So Will Howard played one of his best preseason games this week. He had two touchdowns. He had 2 touchdowns for 69 yards. He only threw 1 interception. He was sacked 3 times. That's something that we need to work on. We need to work on our offensive line. We can't be getting sacked 3 times. Drew Eller was 9 for 18 for 88 yards, so he had another good game. Lou Nichols, he had 7 carries for 40 yards, and Eli Heidenreich had 9 carries for 35 yards and a touchdown. Here's how the Steelers did on third down conversions. The third down conversions for the Pittsburgh Steelers were 7 for 15 for 47%. For fourth down conversions, the Pittsburgh Steelers were 0 for 2 for 0%. And the red zone, the Pittsburgh Steelers were 3 for 3 for 100%. So here is some more stats. So the Pittsburgh Steelers punted the ball 5 times. They also had 5 penalties. But the biggest thing about this game is special teams. The Pittsburgh Steelers did great defensively in this game, but they also did great on special teams. I'm going to say they did do good on offense, but I think they did great on defense and special teams. The reason why, because so the Pittsburgh Steelers had a fumble recovery on a punt return, which led to 7 points, which is 7 points on turnovers. So that's good news. And also, Caden Wetjen had a 45-yard punt return for a touchdown. So that kid did really good. Here are the players that did not play for the Pittsburgh Steelers in this game. Aaron Rodgers didn't play. Mason Rudolph didn't play. DK didn't play. Michael Pittman Jr. didn't play. Joey Porter Jr. didn't play. And Jalen Ramsey didn't play. So, what are my overall thoughts on the Pittsburgh Steelers in this game? My overall thoughts about the Pittsburgh Steelers in this game is that the Pittsburgh Steelers played very well. They did better offensively than they did last week. So basically, It's okay, Janessa. I started 10 minutes ago. I don't know how long I'm going to make this stream for. I don't even know if you'll still be up the voice chat later, because I'm probably still going to be doing this stream. I have like 50 more minutes left. But anyway, like I was saying, I think the Pittsburgh Steelers did. I think the Pittsburgh Steelers did good in this game. They did better offensively than they did against the New York Jets last week. Defensively, they played great. They played great on special teams, so they definitely did better last week. I would say the New York Jets was the worst preseason game for the Pittsburgh Steelers. I think the best preseason game for the Pittsburgh Steelers was against the Green Bay Packers when they won 29-8. I would say this game against the Buffalo Bills was the most competitive game because the Steelers only lost by 1 point, and that was because the Buffalo Bills made an aggressive call at the end of the game by taking the 2-point conversion and winning the game. So yes. But what are my overall thoughts? I think the Steelers had a good preseason. They had a good preseason, even though they have 1 win and 2 losses in the preseason. In the long run, the preseason doesn't matter. Nate, did I most? No, I just started. But anyways, yeah. Like I was saying, like the Pittsburgh Steelers, they had, even though they have 1 win and 2 losses in the preseason doesn't really matter, but it really got me to get an idea of what the Steelers are going to do in the regular season. I think, I think the Pittsburgh Steelers did great defensively. They did great on special teams. I think there is a couple things that the Pittsburgh Steelers could still work on. So basically, feel like that. I feel like the Pittsburgh Steelers could do better offensively. This is a problem that the Pittsburgh Steelers had last season. There was a lot of games where they did really well offensively, but there was a lot of games that they didn't do very good offensively. So I think that's one thing, that's a point of contention that the Pittsburgh Steelers need to look at. Now, I can't really judge the Pittsburgh Steelers because they didn't start their main players in the preseason. They didn't start Aaron Rodgers. They didn't start DK Metcalf. They didn't start Michael Pittman Jr., so that's a point of contention. Another thing I would say is that their offensive line can get better. You know, so yeah, basically, like I was saying, I feel like the offensive line could get better. Basically, I don't think the Pittsburgh Steelers have a bad offensive line, but I don't think the Steelers have a bad offensive line, but they do have some injuries at offensive line. They just got one of their main starters back, and then there's another offensive lineman that's injured. So it's a point of contention that the Steelers can get better with their offensive line. What else do I have to say? I think that the Steelers could be more disciplined. They just had too many penalties in the preseason. Like, let's see, they had 11 in the first game. I think they had like a 4 or 5 last week, and then they had 5 this week. So over 3 games in the preseason, they had over 20 penalties. That's not good. So I think the Steelers need more discipline at practice, and they really need to. They really need to. They really need to. Yeah, so basically, they really need to get better with their penalty situation. So the players of the game, Will Howard. I'm honestly not going to lie to you guys. I think Will Howard is going to be the 4th string quarterback. Don't get me wrong. I think Will Howard is a good quarterback, and he definitely has potential, and I could definitely see him being a starter in the future. But because Aaron Rodgers is the starting quarterback and the backup is Mason Rudolph, he's going to take a hit because I think Drew Eller did better in the preseason than Will Howard. So I believe that Drew Eller, which gets to my next point, I think Drew Eller will be the backup for Mason Rudolph if he gets injured. So if he's the backup's backup. So, Aaron Rodgers, he's playing all good, all good. Oh, good. And then Mason Rudolph gets injured in a practice somebody. Well, they got the backup, Drew Eller, to be the backup for Aaron Rodgers if Mason Rudolph gets injured. So, I think the 3rd string quarterback is going to be Drew Eller. Janessa, wait, who won? The Buffalo Bills won, Janessa, but I would just like to say, Janessa, that the Steelers only lost by 1 point. They lost 28-27. So the Buffalo Bills got the one win, but the Pittsburgh Steelers did a lot better than they did last week, and I have a lot to say about this game. But the reason why the Buffalo Bills is because they took an aggressive play call. They decided to go for a 2-point conversion to win the game, and they got the 2-point conversion, and that got them the win, which is an aggressive play call and an aggressive strategy, but they got the win. Lou Nichols, yeah, I'm just going to be honest with you guys. There's a lot of running backs in the running back room for the Steelers. We got Jalen Warren. We got Jalen Warren. We got Caleb Johnson. We got Rico Dwaddle. We got Eli Heidenreich, Lou Nichols, Riley, whatever his last name is. I can never remember his last name. So we got a couple of people here, right? I think Riley Norwitzki, or whatever the hell his name is, I always forget his last name. He's going to be a fullback no matter what. As for the 4th string running back, and I'm being realistic here, because I believe that Jalen Warren will be the starter. Rico Dwaddle will be the backup. Rico Dwaddle will come in to do the light work for Jalen Warren, but he will also be a receiving back as well for Aaron Rodgers. And then, you got Caleb Johnson, which Caleb Johnson, I don't know about this dude. I don't know if Caleb Johnson is the future for the Pittsburgh Steelers. I feel like that could either go to Eli Heidenreich or Lou Nichols if they really want to go through with it. I realistically believe that the 4th string running back will be Eli. I feel like Eli Holing. Wait, I said Eli Holenstein. Why am I talking about the Pittsburgh Panthers quarterback? I mean Eli Heidenreich. I feel like Eli Heidenreich will be the 4th string running back. Nothing against Lou Nothing against Lou Nichols, but Lou Nichols will probably still be on the practice squad, but he won't be on the 53-man roster. Other people I would like to talk about, I would like to talk about Roman Wilson. Because the Pittsburgh Steelers are making their cuts this week, I feel like Roman Wilson is going to be one of the people that are going to be cut. I've talked about this last week in my Black and Gold podcast, the Pittsburgh Steelers podcast, episode 2. I talked about Roman Wilson. Roman Wilson, the thing about Roman Wilson is that Roman Wilson, I just don't really think he fits the Pittsburgh Steelers system. He doesn't fit the system. I think that's a problem. He doesn't fit the system. Roman Wilson has been with the Pittsburgh Steelers for about 2 seasons, and he has yet to prove anything to me. He didn't prove anything to me this preseason, right? Okay, so Roman Wilson has a battle with Gurmy Bernard, Ben Skoranek, and Caden Wetjen for the wide receiver position. Realistically, I think Gurmy Bernard had a better preseason than Roman Wilson. I feel like Gurmy Bernard is going to be the 3rd string wide receiver. I think he is. As for Ben Skoranek and Caden Wetjen, they're making the roster. Ben Skoranek, he's a special teams guy. Caden Wetjen, he's a special teams guy. I already mentioned it earlier in the stream. Caden Wetjen had a 45-yard rushing, so basically, Caden Wetjen had a 45-yard punt return for a touchdown in this game. So he ran 45 yards for a punt return touchdown. Also, in his first preseason game, he had a catch where he rushed it 70 yards down the field, almost a touchdown. If he had an extra 20 yards, he would have a 90-yard reception touchdown. That's how fast this kid is. I know Pittsburgh Steelers watched the tape during the NFL draft, and they're like, they need to get Caden Wetjen, and that's the right choice. But Roman Wilson, like I said about Roman Wilson, I feel like Roman Wilson is a waste of space. I talked about this last week in my second podcast episode. I said it like this: Roman Wilson, he just doesn't fit the system. How can I tell he doesn't fit the system? Because he only had 3 catches in this preseason. 3. He played 3 games and he only had 3 catches. And then you take a look at Game 2, where the Pittsburgh Steelers played the New York Jets, and Will Howard threw 2 interceptions. Well, I would like to say that's not Will Howard's fault. Yes, Will Howard did throw the interception, but you want to know why it's not his fault? Because Roman Wilson didn't finish the play. Roman Wilson did not finish the play. He didn't go through the motions, and he didn't continue to go after the ball. And that's why on both interceptions they were intercepted, because he didn't do what he needed to do as a wide receiver, and he didn't need to do what he needed to do in a defender in that situation. So, in my honest opinion, I believe that the Pittsburgh Steelers are going to release Roman Wilson. And like I said before, Roman Wilson, he just doesn't fit the system. He doesn't fit the system of Pittsburgh Steelers. We drafted Roman Wilson from the Michigan Wolverines from college. I feel like Roman Wilson needs to go into a system that fits the Michigan Wolverines system in the NFL. So what I believe is that Roman Wilson needs to go to a team that fits the system of the Michigan Wolverines. That will help Roman Wilson be a great wide receiver. If he goes to a team that plays like the Michigan Wolverines, now I don't know if there's a team like that in the NFL, but I feel like if Roman Wilson goes to a different team. But yeah, basically, I think he should go to a better team that he would fit the system better. But overall, I think the Pittsburgh Steelers, I think they got their 53-man roster set already. I feel like I know the people that they're going to be using. So I think the Pittsburgh Steelers 53-man roster is set in stone. Some of this people of this list, like Roman Wilson and Lou Nichols, I don't know if they're going to make the team. Lou Nichols, he could be signed to the practice squad. Roman Wilson, he has one more year of practice squad eligibility. So I guess we will just see what happens. That's how I feel, man. I feel like I got a good idea of who the Pittsburgh Steelers are going to keep and who they're not going to keep, and I feel like I know who the 53-man roster is. So okay, let me read the chat now. I haven't read the chat in a while. Let's see. Oh my God. Okay. Let's see. Peter Howard looked good. Yes, Will Howard did look good in this game. I would say this was probably the best game for Will Howard. Last week it was his worst game, but like I said, it was partially his fault, but it wasn't 100% his fault. I would say it's 25% his fault because of Roman Wilson. Like I said, Roman Wilson, he just doesn't fit the system of the Pittsburgh Steelers. Roman Wilson needs to go to a system that fits the Michigan Wolverine style of football. Just the NFL version of it. If he can fit in the Michigan Wolverine system, if he can find a team in the NFL like that, he's going to be a really good wide receiver. I'm telling you that right now. But with the Pittsburgh Steelers, I just don't think it's the right system with him. But like I said, it's 25% Will Howard's fault, but it's 75% Roman Wilson's fault because Roman Wilson didn't do his job as a wide receiver. He didn't fully play the play. He didn't go through the motions. He didn't fully play the play. He didn't do what he needed to do as a wide receiver. He stopped. He didn't go after the ball. He just stopped. And that's what those interceptions happened. Also, as a wide receiver, if like a defensive man is trying to intercept the ball, you have to turn into a defensive man yourself, and he didn't, and that's the problem. But yes, Will Howard looked very good. He had a good game. Like I said earlier, I feel like Will Howard is going to be the fourth-string quarterback. It looks like the Pittsburgh Steelers are going to have 4 quarterbacks, which is really interesting. So we're going to have Aaron Rodgers, Mason Rudolph, Will Howard, and Drew Eller, which is interesting. I thought they were going to get rid of Mason Rudolph, but keeping Mason Rudolph makes sense if Aaron Rodgers gets injured because we need a good backup quarterback. Not saying that Drew Eller and Will Howard are not good backups. I'm just saying that they have a lot to learn from Aaron Rodgers and Mason Rudolph. Aaron Rodgers has been in the NFL for almost 20 seasons at this point. I don't know the actual number, but about 20. And Mason Rudolph has been in the NFL for 8 seasons. He was a starter as a Pittsburgh Steeler, and he was a starter as a Tennessee Titan. But he's been a backup quarterback as well for pretty much his whole career. So, I think I feel like Will Howard and Drew Eller will get a lot of experience from Aaron Rodgers and Mason Rudolph. But like I said, I feel like Drew Eller is going to be the backup's backup. In case if Mason Rudolph, the backup, gets injured, Drew Eller will be the third string quarterback, and then Will Howard will be the fourth string, because I feel like Will Howard or Drew Eller had a better preseason than Will Howard. Just my opinion. Randall, what's up, Joey? What's up, Randall? How you doing? This is the Black and Gold podcast, a Pittsburgh Steelers podcast, episode 3, Randall. I hope you're enjoying it so far. Inchulate 88, Stu Pickles, okay? Inchulate 88, I'm in the Berg. Cool. Janessa, Joey, sorry I'm late. I clicked on it as soon as I saw it. Well, thank you, Janessa. I appreciate you. Well, Janessa, when you joined, I was only streaming for 10 minutes, so I just started the stream, but, you know, my stream is pretty much rolling now. I'm probably going to be streaming for another half an hour, as long as nothing happens. As long as my grandparents don't get up and get pissed at me, and as long as my Uncle Tom or my mom don't find out that I'm streaming this late at night, I should be fine. But like I said, I'm not fucking canceling my podcast just because my mom doesn't like me doing my YouTube channel. I talked about this earlier in another stream. I've talked about it in my Q&A. My mom doesn't really like me doing live streams. She doesn't like me doing YouTube videos. She doesn't like me doing shorts. She doesn't like me doing this podcast. I don't get why. I'm not doing anything wrong. Like, this whole stream, the whole 30 minutes, I've been talking about the Pittsburgh Steelers. I haven't gone off topic. I've talked about the Pittsburgh Steelers. I'm doing my job in this podcast, talking about the Pittsburgh Steelers. And she has a problem with me. I don't know. She says I can't stream after 10 p.m. Well, look at me. I'm doing it. Just for tonight. Everything will go back to normal tomorrow. I'm not, like I said, I'm not canceling this podcast just because my mom wants me to. Because I started this podcast 2 weeks ago. I've only done 2 episodes. This is my 3rd episode. So why would I stop? Doesn't make sense. Butter Kojes, talk with your upper teeth. I'm talking normally, so I don't really care. Knockout, sup, Goofy Goober? What's up, Knockout? How are you doing? I hope you're doing good today. Gus, do you cut your own hair? No, Gus, my mom cuts my hair, but I have talked about this about my mom. There are some good traits about my mom, and there are some bad traits about my mom. Not saying anything disrespectful or rude or anything about my mom. I'm just saying, like, there's some things that I like about her, and there's some things that I don't like about her. The one thing I don't like is that she doesn't want me streaming on YouTube after 10 p.m., and she doesn't really like my YouTube channel. But the one good thing I can say about my mom is that my mom is a really good barber. My mom is a really good barber. She does give me a really nice haircut with my hair. I do need to get a haircut soon. But yeah, she's a really nice barber, and like I said, I think she should start a barber shop. Hell, my mom is even really good at cooking, so I think she should start a freaking restaurant too. But yeah, she's a good barber. But yeah, Gus, my mom does my hair. Knockout, dang, close game with the Steelers tonight. Yes, it was. I would say that this was the most competitive preseason game for the Steelers this season. Like I said, I thought the Steelers' best game was against the Green Bay Packers. The worst game was against the New York Jets. And the most competitive game was against the Buffalo Bills. So, yeah, I agree with you, Knockout. John, he has false teeth. That's correct. I have dentures. That is correct. And it looks like the head coach of the Pittsburgh Steelers, Mike McCarthy, just confirmed that the Pittsburgh Steelers are keeping all 4 of their quarterbacks. So they are keeping Aaron Rodgers, they are keeping Mason Rudolph, they are keeping Drew Eller, and they are keeping Will Howard. Mike McCarthy just confirmed it. So the Pittsburgh Steelers are keeping all 4 of those quarterbacks. Janessa, dang. Chima, all-time boring WWE champion like Jinder Mahal. Okay, what are you talking about, Chima? This has nothing to do with WWE. I'm not talking about WWE right now. I'm talking about the NFL. I'm talking about American football, and I'm talking about the Pittsburgh Steelers. Chima, if you would like to talk to me about WWE, let's talk about it tomorrow, because tomorrow is Friday, and I'm going to be making a lot of wrestling content tomorrow. So let's talk about that tomorrow. Rapture, ready, 9502, Total Eclipse, okay. Fusa, yeah, yo, what's up, man? How you doing? Jason Better, hello. I think that, Jason Bender, hello. I think there's can give it to the Steelers. They're going to make Aaron Rodgers the MVP because he's retiring in 2027. I don't think that the NFL is going to give Aaron Rodgers the MVP just because he's retiring. That's not how that works. Jason Bender, that's not how that works. You just don't give somebody the MVP because this is their final season and they're retiring. That goes to the best quarterback playing. Now, don't get me wrong. Aaron Rodgers has had a great career. He's won a Super Bowl. He's won plenty of big games, and he's won plenty of playoff games. But just because he's ending the season and he's retiring after the season just doesn't mean that he's automatically going to get the MVP. It goes to the best quarterback playing throughout the season, so that doesn't really make any sense. Knockout. Do you think the Steelers will do better than 10-7 this season? No, I do not. Knockout. I think 10-7 is the best that they could possibly do, but are they going to do better than 10-7? No, I don't think so. I think 10-7 is probably the best they're going to do. The worst they can do is go 7-10, lose their consecutive season winning streak, and miss a playoff game. So go 7-10, lose their consecutive winning season streak. Because if you do not know, the Pittsburgh Steelers have a consecutive winning season for the last 24 seasons. So this year would be either 24 or 25 consecutive seasons having a winning season, which is the longest streak in the NFL right now for longest winning season record. So yeah, so the Pittsburgh Steelers have 24 consecutive winning seasons. If they do it, this would be their 25th, which is basically a record because they broke the Dallas Cowboys record for 23 consecutive winning seasons. So the Pittsburgh Steelers hold that record. But yeah, the best they can do is 10-7. The worst they can do is 7-10. My prediction is that they're going to go 9-8, and they're going to make a playoff game. That's my prediction. Evil... Oh, crap. I almost... Sorry about that, guys. I almost knocked over my own tripod. Huck. Evil monkey, do you bite? No, I do not. Sorry. Chima Samjo versus Bronson Reed versus Braun Strowman versus Big Show versus Grey Cut. Yeah, that is a crazy monster match that is never going to happen. Sorry to burst your bubble, Chima, but that match is never going to happen. Sorry. Chima Sagemo versus Bronson Reed. I think Bronson Reed is going to win because I don't even know who the other guy is. I don't know what you're talking about. Sorry. Deacon Diaz. I am an 83-year-old man from Canada. Hello, how you doing? I hope you're doing good today. Chima Man, Obafemi versus Braun Strowman is my dream match. Well... It would be a pretty good dream match. That's if Braun Strowman was in WWE. because Braun Strowman is not in WWE. And Braun Strowman has implied that he doesn't want to go back to WWE. So unless if Obafemi and Braun Strowman go to AEW, I'm sorry to say it, Chima, but that's not going to happen. Deacon Diaz, do you watch Canadian football? No, I do not, Deacon Diaz. I do not. I only watch American football. I watch the NFL. And obviously, by the title of this podcast and what I'm doing, my favorite team is the Pittsburgh Steelers. This is the Black and Gold Podcast, a Pittsburgh Steelers podcast. So, yeah, Deacon Diaz, I am a homosexual, but I enjoy footballs. Cool. Peter, great show, Joey. I learned a lot about the Steelers going into the final cut. Yeah, thank you, Peter. I appreciate you. Thank you for watching the stream, Peter. I appreciate you. And, yeah, the Pittsburgh Steelers are going to make their final cuts sometime this week. I have a good feeling of who their 53-man roster is going to be already. And I can't wait for the first regular season game of the Pittsburgh Steelers. The first regular season of the Pittsburgh Steelers is going to be in 2 weeks, and their first regular season game is against the Atlanta Falcons. But also, college football starts next week, so I'm probably going to do a podcast about my Pittsburgh Panthers. The Pittsburgh Panthers play Miami of Ohio for their first game, so check it out. Check out my, I don't know what I'm going to call the podcast yet. Don't know what I'm going to call the Pittsburgh Panther podcast yet. Don't know what I'm going to call it yet. And, yep, so just keep an eye out for that. But that would be my first one. Chima, okay, bye, brother. Bye, Chima. Janessa, Joey. Janessa, Joey, are you in your room or are you in the living room? I know this isn't an NFL question. I'm just curious. Well, Janessa, no, I am not in my room. I am in my living room. I think it's better to do these streams down in the living rooms when my grandparents are sleeping, because my room is literally right down the hall from their room, so I don't really want them to hear me. Also, I think it's better for me to doing it in the living room, because I feel like it's less likely that they're going to hear me if I'm doing it in my living room. And also, like I said before, I'm trying to be respectful of my grandparents, you know. My grandparents have rules. I go to bed when they go to bed, and I wake up when they wake up. But my grandparents go to bed early. They go to bed about around 10:30. And then I have this podcast episode I want to do, so, you know, I get up, I do my podcast, and then I do what I need to do, and then I go to bed. I don't stay up super late. I do my podcast, I do what I need to do before I want to go to bed, and then I go to bed at a decent time so I can wake up early. I typically get like around 7 to 8 hours of sleep each night, which is the perfectly normal for sleep. 7 to 8 hours is the recommended amount of time for sleep for human beings. So, yeah. But, yes, I'm in my living room right now. Janessa, also, why would the teams do cuts? No? Why not during the draft? Well, Janessa, it's called the 53-man cut. Janessa, for the NFL, for every single NFL team, there's a 53-man roster, right? So during the preseason, they have 75 players on the team during the preseason. And they have to cut it down to 53. So basically, they have extra 22 players on the team. And 22 players are going to be cut. So the 22 players that are going to be cut didn't make the 53-man roster. The players that make the 53-man roster make the official team for the regular season. But the 22 players that do not make the 53-man roster, they either get signed to the practice squad or they get released and they get picked up by another team for their practice squad, or they become free agents. So I hope that makes it understandable for you, Janessa. Oxymoron, hi, Oxymoron. Oxymoron, hi, how you doing? I hope you're doing good, Oxymoron. I'm having a good day so far. Knockout, Joey, is Pittsburgh going to do better than 10-7 this season? No, I don't think so. I don't think so. I think 10-7 is the best that they're going to do, but I realistically think they're going to go 9-8 and make a playoff game. The worst they can do is go 7-10. Zigzag. I don't think you know what you're talking about, okay? Okay, Zigzag, I don't know what I'm talking about. Then how about you question me about it, okay? How about you question me? Question me about what I'm talking about. Because I've been talking about this for 45 minutes, and you have just joined the stream 45 minutes in. I'm going to be ending the stream in 15 minutes. I've been here for 45. I'm ending the stream in 15, and you just joined 45 minutes into it. So you don't know what I'm talking about because you were not here watching from the beginning. So how can you say I don't know what you're talking about if you haven't even watched my stream and you don't know what I'm talking about? So maybe you should watch my podcast to understand what I'm talking about, okay? Knockout. I think it's crazy that they've been 10-7 for the last 3 seasons. Yeah, it's pretty crazy, but there's more crazier things that could happen. Knockout. It's pretty impressive, dude. Yes, it is. Peter. Aaron is a GOAT arm talent. I think the team will win 10 to 12 games, but they are in a tough division. That's exactly why I say they're probably going to go 9-8. It's a realistic... I'm going for a realistic expectation. Yes, they have went 10-7 for the last 3 seasons. But I'm going for a realistic expectation here. My realistic expectation is for them to go 9-8 and to make a playoff game. That's my realistic expectation. If they do better, that's great. 10-7 is, I think, the best that they're going to do. The worst that they can do is go 7-10. But if they do great, that is great. Knockout. Damn, bro, you're far behind with the chat. Well, that's because I'm actually talking about what I want to talk about. Thank you guys for getting the stream to 15 likes. I appreciate you all. Thank you. If you guys would like to get this stream to 20 likes within the next 10 minutes, that would be appreciated, please, and thank you. Janessa, low-key mad we won't see the Raiders, 49ers in the Super Bowl. Well, the reason why that won't happen is because the Raiders suck and the 49ers haven't been in a Super Bowl since the 90s. So, well, no, actually, I'm wrong. The 49ers haven't won a Super Bowl since the 90s, but they've been in a Super Bowl recently and they didn't win it. So, yeah, I don't think so. Okay. CEO of my time, strict rules. Yes, it's very strict rules. Nugs Money, hey there, buddy. Hey, Nugs Money, how you doing? Nugs Money, how you doing? Chris Noggin, you look like Charlie Kirk. Like I haven't heard that one before. That's not the first time I've heard that, and that's not going to be the last time I've heard that, so I'm just going to move on. Fapo P99. Hello. Fapo P99. Hi, how are you doing? I hope you're doing good today. I hope you like the Black and Gold podcast, a Pittsburgh Steelers podcast hosted by me, JOWTTD. I hope you're enjoying it so far, Fapo P99. CEO of my time. No, he doesn't. Knockout. Do you ever hear sounds coming from your grandparents' bedroom? No, I do not, because they are sleeping. Nugs money 7520. I need 12. Okay. Fapo P99. You don't understand how cool that clock is. Well, Fapo 99, I think it's a pretty cool clock. I like the clock. I think the clock is pretty cool. Now, I would just like to say that it's not my clock. It's my grandparents' clock. They've always owned it, but I think it's a pretty cool clock, and I like it, so yeah. CEO of my time, what is your podcast? What is my podcast? My podcast is the Black and Gold podcast, a Pittsburgh Steelers podcast hosted by me, JOWTTD, or if you would like to call me by my name, Joey, that's cool. But yeah, this is episode 3. Episode 4 won't be for a while, not until another 2 weeks when the regular season for the Pittsburgh Steelers starts. Janessa, that helps. Thank you. Sorry for the late reply. I replied as soon as I heard your reply to my comment about the cut. You're welcome, Janessa. Nugs money, Niners all the way, baby. Niners all the way. You're talking about a team that hasn't won the Super Bowl since the 90s. They did make a Super Bowl a couple years ago, but they haven't been there since. So can you give your team some realistic expectations like I did? Super nonsense. He's basically free in one league for me. Okay. Dear Sharma, stop flexing your lower teeth. Okay. What do you want to do about it? Robert Grimm, I agree. Thank you, Robert Grimm. I'm happy that you agree. Super nonsense. Chris Benoit is my RW2. Okay, cool. Janessa, will you have the podcast for next season? Yes, I will have the podcast for next season, Janessa, though I have to do the regular season for this season first. Also, I plan on doing a college football podcast, too, for my Pittsburgh Panthers. I don't know what I'm going to call the podcast yet, but I'll figure it out because I have a week to figure it out. Knockout. What do you think about the Bears this season? The Chicago Bears? I wouldn't really worry about how the Chicago Bears are playing. I would worry about their name changing to the Indiana. I would be worried about their name changing to the Indiana Bears. That's what I would be most concerned about if I was a Chicago Bears fan. I wouldn't even worry about them making the playoffs or making a Super Bowl or how good they're playing. I would be worried about them changing their name to the Indiana Bears. That would piss so many people off in Chicago, and that would piss off the state of Illinois if they did that. So, yeah. Katie. Hi, how are you? Hi, Katie, how are you? I hope you're doing good today, Katie. I hope you're having a good day so far, Katie. This is the Black and Gold podcast, the Pittsburgh Steelers podcast, where I talk about the Pittsburgh Steelers. So, yeah. Ali VPN, such a cutie. You have a very gentle face, bro. Thank you, Ali VPN. I appreciate you. Knockout. Is that going to happen? Maybe, maybe not. Who knows? I mean, right now the Chicago Bears are still playing in what the fuck is their name of their stadium? They're still playing in their old stadium, but once they move to their new stadium in Indiana, all bets are off from the Chicago Bears becoming the Indiana Bears. That's what I would be most worried about. I wouldn't be worried about how they're playing. I wouldn't be worried about if they're going to make the playoffs or the Super Bowl. I'd be worried about their name changing from the Chicago Bears to the Indiana Bears. And I'm not talking about right now. I'm talking about when they actually move to Indiana. Soldier Field, yes. They're playing at Soldier Field right now, but hopefully either next season or the season after that, they're going to move to their new field in Indiana. And I'm not a fan of the Chicago Bears because I'm a fan of the Pittsburgh Steelers. The Pittsburgh Steelers is a historical name, so they're never going to change it ever. But I would be really worried as a Chicago Bears fan if I heard that I was moving from Chicago to Indiana and they're thinking about changing the name from Chicago to Indiana Bears. That's what I would be worried about. D Sue Editor 421. Yo, what's up, my G? How are you doing? I'm doing good. How about you? I'm just going over the Black and Gold podcast, a Pittsburgh Steelers podcast right now. Also, I would just like to thank you guys. Thank you guys for 20 likes. I appreciate you. Thank you. If you guys would like to get this stream to 25 likes, that would be appreciated, please, and thank you. I am going to be ending the stream in about 3 minutes. Ali VPN, are the fans that loyal? Would they get pissed off about that? Yes, they would. Listen. Just look at what Knockout said. Knockout is a fan of the Chicago Bears. I think he is. I don't know if he is or not. But look at his response. That's insane. Indiana's basically not a real state. So yeah, basically, like, the Chicago Bears fans would be pissed off if they, the fans are already pissed off that, the Chicago Bears are moving to Indiana. So now they're going to move to Indiana. If I was a Chicago's Bear fan, Peter, I can't blame the Bears. Chicago is a war zone. But it has nothing to do with the city that it's in. It's more about their stadium. Like, this, from what I understand, is that the city of Chicago basically, the reason why Chicago is no longer playing in Soldier Field is because Soldier Field is becoming too... Soldier Field is becoming too out of date to play at. It's a very old stadium. Also, the city of Chicago does not want to build a new stadium for the Chicago Bears. So that's why they're moving to Indiana. The reason why they're moving to Indiana is because the state of Indiana is willing to build a stadium for the Chicago Bears. But the city of Chicago and the state of Illinois don't want to build a new stadium for Chicago. But they do realize that Soldier Field is becoming too old and too outdated for the Chicago Bears to play at. So that's the issue. They mentioned that they could change the name to the Indiana Bears. I'm not saying that's going to happen. I would just say that as a Chicago Bears fan, I would be worried about that happening within the next 5 to 10 years within the next 5 to 10 years when they move to Indiana. Because they're not moving to Indiana until 2027. They're not moving into the new stadium in Indiana until next season. But, within the next 5 to 10 years, I would be worried about the Chicago Bears going from Chicago Bears to the Indiana Bears. Okay, let's see. Dead in Sid 3 from Indiana here. Peter, I can't blame them. The Bears, Chicago is a war zone. Knockout, I'd be pissed if they moved to Indiana while they're moving to Indiana next year. Well, you better be pissed, Knockout, because the Chicago Bears are moving to a new stadium in Indiana next year. Outlaw 2045. Wait, the Bears are moving to Indiana? What the fuck? Yes, they're moving to a new stadium in Indiana next year, 2027. Terry, Buffalo is the only team that really plays in New York. That is true, because the Jets and the New York Giants share a stadium. Janessa, I don't think they will change their name to Indiana Bears. The 49ers are still in San Francisco 49ers, and they move stadiums. Yeah, but the San Francisco moved their... The reason why the San Francisco 49ers are still the San Francisco 49ers is because they still play in the state of California, and they're close to the city of San Francisco. This is not like the Chicago Bears situation, Janessa. The Chicago Bears situation is that the Chicago Bears are moving from Illinois to Indiana. They're moving to Chicago to a new stadium in Indiana. There were talks. Okay, I want to say this. I want to say this for certain. They had talks about them changing their name from the Chicago Bears to the Indiana Bears. The owner of the Chicago Bears said that they're not changing the name. But they're moving to Indiana next season. But who's not to say within the next 5 to 10 years, if the Chicago Bears have a better response in Indiana than they did in Illinois? What's stopping the owners from changing it to the Chicago Bears to the Indiana Bears? Really think about it, people. Really think about it. Outlaw 2045. How come I'm barely finding out about this? Because you don't... I don't know what to say, Outlaw. Maybe you should read up on some more football news. I mean, I follow football pretty heavily because I like the NFL, I like American football, and I like the Pittsburgh Steelers, so I know a lot. Also, they announced that they're canceling the Pro Bowl today. That's what they said, they're canceling the Pro Bowl. They're not doing the Pro Bowl anymore. The Pro Bowl is done, people. The Pro Bowl is done. It's now a celebration of all the players. All the top players, I guess. So, no Pro Bowl, just a celebration. Janessa, I forgot where, but I different. Peter, I know it's about the funding for the stadium and all. Yes. Janessa, I forgot, but they did. Ali VPN, no money or stubborn, I guess. Knockout, if they named the stadium Caitlin Clark Field, I'll be okay with that. Well, I don't think they're going to call the stadium that. Also, I don't know what they're calling the stadium. All I know is that the Chicago Bears are moving to Indiana in 2027. They're moving into their new stadium. And like I said, within the next 5 to 10 years, I would be worried about the Chicago Bears becoming the Indiana Bears. Outlaw 2045, I'm the Indiana Care Bears. Peter, I'm still getting used to the LA Chargers. Well, didn't you know that the Chargers were in LA before they were in San Diego? They were the Los Angeles Chargers before they became the San Diego Chargers. So basically, they relocated from Los Angeles to Seattle. So basically, the Chargers relocated from Los Angeles to San Diego back to Los Angeles. I know, weird words, but they were in Los Angeles, then they relocated to San Diego, and then they relocated back to Los Angeles. So that ain't too surprising for me. Terry, when is your shit Steelers building a new stadium? Well, Terry, they are not building a new stadium. Do you know why? Because Heinz Field is only 26 years old. It's a pretty new stadium still. In retrospect, a lot of teams in the NFL play in a lot older stadiums than the Pittsburgh Steelers. So, I mean, the Pittsburgh Steelers used to play in Three Rivers Field. Now they play at Heinz Field or Acrisure Stadium, as they say it. So, yeah. Peter, Sophie Cunningham Stadium would be better. Okay, knockout, I'm fine with either one, Peter. Juju1271, why you got so much teeth? Knockout, Juju, work on your jokes. Knockout 1166, Pro Bowl sucks anyway. Well, the Pro Bowl is a historical tradition, and I'm not really a big fan of the NFL removing it, because it's a historical tradition that they've been doing for years. I understand that's what they're going to do, and they're just going to make it a celebration for the players, but I think the Pro Bowl is a historical tradition, and I don't think they should remove it. Let's see. Ali VPN, I like that you know about... Ali VPN, I like that you know about all this. Thank you, Ali VPN. I appreciate you. Janessa, 24 likes. Let's get good. Thank you, Janessa. Knockout, do they make ketchup at Heinz Field? Well, Knockout, it's not Heinz Field anymore. It's Acrisure Stadium now. I've always liked Heinz Fields more than Acrisure Stadium. I still call it Heinz Field, even though it's Acrisure Stadium now. I've never been a fan of the name change, but you know what? What are you going to do about it? Ali VPN, on a side note, I love to go to the game with you. You know, your stuff. Well, thank you, Ali VPN. I appreciate you. I actually have gone to a Steelers game. I went to a Steelers game in person in 2024. Really cool experience. Terry, what are you going to do with Will Howard? Well, if you haven't been watching my stream, Terry, Will Howard is making the 53-man roster, and Mike McCarthy just confirmed it like 20 to 25 minutes ago. So, yeah, that's what they're doing with Will Howard. Will Howard's making the team. Will Howard is making the team. Drew Eller is making the team. Mason Rudolph's making the team. Aaron Rodgers is making the team. They're all making the team. Knockout. Gotta go, Joey. Catch you next week. Okay, thank you, Knockout. Thank you for joining my stream, Knockout. And if you guys would like to get this stream to 25 likes, that would be appreciated, please and thank you. Terry, 4 quarterbacks? Yes, Mike McCarthy confirmed it earlier. The Pittsburgh Steelers are having 4 quarterbacks. Thank you guys for 25 likes. I appreciate you all. Thank you. Thank you guys for 25 likes. Terry, 4 quarterbacks? Yes, Terry. The Pittsburgh Steelers are having 4 quarterbacks. I get the decision. I really do. Peter, the Pro Bowl went downhill ever since Brian Moorman got laid out by Sean Taylor. Yeah, I know. They made it safer, but I'm not a big fan of them just making it a celebration for the players. What's the fun in that? Why not have a competitive... you know, Terry, must be afraid, old man. Gotta get fucked up, laughing out loud. Well, Terry, I don't think Aaron Rodgers is scared of anything. I think that the Pittsburgh Steelers are building up for a future. Unlike most teams in the NFL, like the Cleveland Browns or the Miami Dolphins or whoever shitty team that's never won a Super Bowl, and like Miami Dolphins haven't won a Super Bowl in like fucking, I don't know, like 50, 60 years. Same thing with the Cleveland Browns. They haven't won a Super Bowl for like fucking 70 years. 70 to 75 years. Well, actually, that was before the Super Bowl. That was the NFL championship. The Cleveland Browns have never won a Super Bowl, but they haven't won anything since the NFL championship. So, yeah. Peter, that was the last iconic Pro Bowl moment I remember. Well, here's my thoughts on the Pro Bowl, everybody. I think the Pro Bowl is historic. I don't think they should get rid of it. I understand they have to make it safer for the players, but guess what? They can still keep it competitive. They don't have to boggle down on the rules, okay? They can make it competitive because they got great players playing against other great players. They can keep it competitive. That's why I like the idea of the Pro Bowl. You see where I'm going here with this? Like, who would want just a celebration of the players? You can celebrate the players anytime you want. They get celebrated by giving the NFL MVP, the Offensive Player of the Year, the Defensive Player of the Year, Head Coach of the Year, all that shit. That's where you celebrate. But I feel like these players should have something competitive, and that's why I like the idea of the Pro Bowl, and the Pro Bowl is historic, so, yeah. But anyways, guys, I'm going to be ending this stream in 3 minutes, so, yeah, I'm going to be ending the stream here. If you guys would like to get the stream to 30 likes in the next 3 minutes, that would be appreciated, please and thank you. I'm not expecting you guys to get the stream to 30 likes in the next 3 minutes, but if you guys can do that for me, that would be appreciated, please and thank you. Well, I hope you guys have enjoyed this podcast episode. I hope you guys have enjoyed the Black and Gold podcast, the Pittsburgh Steelers podcast. Thank you, everybody, for joining in the podcast. Peter, see ya, Joey. Good night. Terry, if they let players hit Pro Bowl, would be good, but they ain't. Well, the Pro Bowl is not a thing anymore because the NFL got rid of it. They got rid of the Pro Bowl. Now it's going to just be a celebration of the players, which I think is ridiculous because they're already doing that with the NFL MVP, the Offensive Player of the Year, the Defensive Player of the Year, Rookie of the Year, Rookie Offensive Player of the Year, Defensive Rookie of the Year, Head Coach of the Year. So they're already doing that already. But like I said, I hope you guys have enjoyed the podcast episode. I hope you guys have enjoyed the Black and Gold podcast, a Pittsburgh Steelers podcast, episode 3. I hope everybody enjoyed. I hope everybody had fun. And I hope everybody enjoyed me talking about the Pittsburgh Steelers. If you guys would like to get the stream to 30 likes and help out the podcast, that would be appreciated. So if you guys would like to help out the podcast and get the podcast to 30 likes, that would be appreciated, please and thank you. I'm definitely trying to get the Black and Gold podcast out there, a Pittsburgh Steelers podcast. So the only way that I'm going to get help is I'm going to get help from you guys. So if you would like to help me get this podcast out there and get this stream to 30 likes, that would be appreciated, please and thank you. Please don't forget to please like, subscribe, and comment to my YouTube channel. Don't forget to turn on all the notifications for all my videos. And come back to my Q&A, gaming, and comic book streams to get my watch hours up on YouTube. And that is the Black and Gold podcast, the Pittsburgh Steelers podcast, episode 3. I hope you guys have a good rest of your night. You guys get some good rest out there. I'll see you guys tomorrow. All right. Bye, everybody. Bye. Bye, everybody. Bye, everybody. I'll see you later. Bye. Bye, everybody. Bye. See you later. Can you do voice chat for an hour after this? I understand if you can't, but I'm ready if you can. Yeah, I'm ready. Anyway, bye, guys. I'll see you guys later. Bye, everybody. Bye. See you later, everybody. Bye. See you later. Peace.